Hey there, I'm Radish, and today we're climbing Mount Washington. Now, Mount Washington is one of Central Oregon's iconic volcanoes, and the climb today is starting from Santiam Pass, heading south on the PCT. It's about a 10-mile climb round trip with 3,000 feet of gain, and the tower itself is about 3 or 4 pitches of 5-4 climbing. Now, stay tuned when we're all done, and we'll meet back right here, and I'll go over the details of our climb and do a quick trip report for you. But for now, let's get climbing. All right, we are back at the Mount Washington trailhead. That's the PCT trailhead at Santiam Pass. That was Mount Washington, and I'm Radish. Now, before I go into a quick trip report, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel below, and you can also follow me on Instagram. Everything is at Radish Uprooted. It helps me out a lot, so I appreciate it. All right, now for the details of our climb. So we started at about 7 a.m. yesterday morning from the PCT trailhead, just a couple miles in towards Big Lake from Santiam Pass. From there, we headed south on the PCT for about 3 miles until we veered off on the Climbers Trail to gain the north ridge of Mount Washington. The Climbers Trail was pretty easy to follow. It got pretty steep until we gained the ridge itself, and then we broke out of the tree line, and it was a lot of Class 2 scrambling on classic Central Oregon volcanic ridge lines. Until eventually, after about 5 miles and 2,500 feet of gain, we made it to the base of the summit pyramid. Now, the summit pyramid can look pretty intimidating, but it totally goes. It's not as bad as it looks from afar. So we pitched this out into 3 pitches with a final scramble to the summit. The first pitch was definitely the crux. So as we sat in the notch at the base of the summit pyramid, you could scramble up into the second lowest gully that you see in front of you. It kind of ramps leftwards, and it's really dark black gray. From the base of that gully, we set up a belay station and anchored in, and then I led that first pitch up a ramp towards your left through that gully, and then directly up through kind of an overhung chimney. That was definitely the crux move. You're really exposed. If you fall, you're gonna fall off the back side of the mountain, which is about a 4,000 foot drop. So the leader needs to be super confident with what they're doing, and frankly, they need to not fall. For protection, I was able to sling a bunch of natural features like horns. There were a couple cracks I was able to put nuts in and clip into those. But for the most part, the protection you're using is just natural features on the rock that you'll just put slings around. I'd recommend bringing probably 6 to 8 long runners with enough carabiners to clip into, obviously. And if you have a small nut set, that could come in handy too. You could probably bring cams and find uses for them, but I didn't see a need for it personally. Now, once I got above that first overhanging chimney crux, it was pretty easy scrambling from there. It's a pretty obvious line up to the top of the first pitch, where there's already a lot of tat up there to anchor in. From up on that station at the top of pitch 1, I was able to belay up my partner on top rope from top down. Once my partner joined me at that belay station, we repeated and I led the second pitch. The second pitch was definitely the easiest. I roped up just because it is pretty exposed and the rock is questionable at best. So you never know when a rock is going to give way and you're going to fall off the mountain. So again, I placed protection on the second pitch, slinging horns. On this one, I did place a couple nuts until I got to the top of the second pitch, which is a wide open ledge. And that's a great spot to clip into the anchor up there, which is where I belayed my partner up to me again. Then we get to the third and final pitch. This pitch looks really intimidating. It's fine, but it is probably the most exposed, even if it's not the technically hardest. So I led that pitch. There's not a lot of protection that you can place as you go up this pretty steep slab, and then you wrap around a corner, and again, you're exposed to the back side of the mountain, which is just a sheer cliff. So sling everything you can and put nuts wherever you can if you're worried about the exposure. Again, the rock quality for a volcano is fine, but everything is suspect up there. From the top of the third pitch, you'll find a great belay station, so I went in direct to that belay station and belayed my partner up to join me. And then from there, it's a short scramble up to the summit that we didn't pitch out. On top of the summit, it was great. There's a summit register. It was a little smoky, so the views weren't wonderful, but it's a pretty wide open spot, enough for a couple parties up there. There was tat on top as well, so if you wanted to pitch out that fourth pitch and rappel back down to the top of the third pitch, you could do that too. From the summit, we down climbed to the top of the third pitch and then made a series of 3 rappels from each of our climbing pitches back down to the base of the summit tower. Now, to rappel the second pitch, you'll need a 70-meter rope to get down all the way to the belay station. A 60-meter will actually put you right at the top of the crux move of that pitch. So you'll need a 70-meter rope if you want to use the rappel stations that are already up there. Otherwise, there's plenty of natural features that you could set up your own rappel station halfway down the pitch. Now, we ran into a little bit of a snag down climbing. The wind started picking up and the weather rolled in out of nowhere, not in the forecast at all. And so when we were throwing down our rope to rappel, the wind actually blew it over the other side of the mountain, and our stopper knot got caught in a crack, and we couldn't free it. So I was really, really sad, but we had no other way. I had to cut my rope in half and ditch half of the rope that was stuck on the mountain. So if you find that, that's a gift for you, I suppose. But we used the remaining half of my rope to finish the rappels off the mountain. It was already getting dark. We probably got to the base of the summit tower at around 7:30. From the base of the summit tower, we unroped, put our climbing gear away, and we basically trail ran out of there. By the time we got down to the PCT junction, it was pitch black, and we hiked out the remaining 3 miles from the PCT to the trailhead in the dark, and then we just camped at the trailhead. Now, on our way out, when it was getting dark, I saw 2 glowing eyes, and as we got closer, it was a mountain lion. And that was the first time I've ever seen a mountain lion in person. I've heard them, but I haven't seen them. And it was a pretty uncomfortable interaction. It was watching us and it was moving around. But when we made a loud noise, it did run off, and we didn't have any issues getting to the car. Now, all in all, I had this trip at 10 miles and 3,000 feet of climbing with, again, 3 pitches of probably around 5-4 climbing with a 4th pitch of class 4 climbing that you can or can't rope up for. Well, that's all I have for you. Again, that was Mount Washington in Central Oregon. I'm Radish. Please make sure to follow me on YouTube below and check me out on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Happy hiking.